Good afternoon, families. Thank you for coming and braving the weather to CC this morning. It was delightful to have you all. This is Kate, if you've not met her yet. Only big girls should not have passies, but baby should. So might want to bring that up if you see her. We had a great time going over week 21, and I'm going to do a quick recap. For history, we had Tell Me About U.S. Astronauts. In 1969, U.S., this is our melting pot, U.S. astronauts. Astronauts is our hand. This is for rocket man. Astronauts, Neil Armstrong, so show me your muscle. Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin were the first men to walk on the moon. So those are our motions for history. We again just wrote it on the board and erased one word at a time as we went through it. Then we had our timeline cards. Our first one is World War II and President Franklin D. Roosevelt. You want to hold that? Great. World War II and President Franklin D. Roosevelt. We do the tricorn hat is the sign for president, and then our little glasses. Stalin of the USSR and the Katyn massacre. You want to hold that one? Stalin has a big thick mustache. So we saw Stalin of the USSR. And this is the sign for kill or death. It's kind of like a R hand that way. Stalin and the Katyn massacre. USSR and the Katyn massacre. The United Nations formed. That's this card. Hold it. You actually just link your thumb and your index finger together. United Nations formed. The Cold War, that's just this Cold War. Gandhi, G hand, Gandhi and India's independence. This means bondage, slavery, and then we go this way, freedom. What's that card? Jewish state established. You can either do this, which is the official motion, like the long beards that the Jewish men wore. I always just do a trace my Jewish state established. So whichever you want to do, Jewish state established, or Jewish state established. Mao and communist victory in China. Mao and communist victory in China. And we're just touching the gold buttons that lined the traditional Chinese men's jackets. Then we're going to move to what we did for geography. Kate, you want to hold this? So the big thing to remember for week 21 is that we are talking about general regions of where the Native American people lived. Now, we know that they moved around all over the place. So when we're teaching this, I just teach that it's kind of like a big circle, like a blob. So eastern woodlands, plains, southwest, California, northwest coast. Now the northwest coastal Indians, they also go up into Alaska. So just remember that. They go up into Alaska. We have our plateau Indians. So there's like a little circular area up here. And then we have the Great Basin. You can do that one on the floor. You want to color a map? And then we have the Great Basin. See if I remembered them all. Eastern woodlands, plains, plateaus, northwest coast, California, Great Basin, and Southwest. I think we covered them all. So remember, kind of like the deserts, which kind of are a little bit hard to figure out where they are. These guys as well is just kind of a general area. If you have this map, the colored map, it kind of shows based off of the different colors. And I don't remember if that is in the back of our book or if we just have the white lined maps. Oh, you'll have to use my big markers. Yep, you will. Yeah, it is. Page 246 in our guide. There it is. Yeah, use the big, no, not those big markers. Those are too big. All right, and then for our associative law of addition, I, a long time ago, made this worksheet with dotted A, B, and C on it. I think it's when I had abecedarians a long time ago. And I pulled this out and we just traced it. The big thing to remember with associative law is that it works for both the multiplication and addition. And you just have to, here's your markers, have to remember that you're saying two parts of this sentence. And then we also chant it, or we have a song that goes like this. Opening parenthesis, A plus B. Closing parenthesis plus C equals A plus opening parenthesis, B plus C closing parenthesis. Same tune for multiplication. Opening parenthesis, A times B. Closing parenthesis times C equals A times opening parenthesis, B times C closing parenthesis. And that's what we did for math. For parts of a sentence are dependent clause, subordinate clause, same thing. So we had fun. We talked about that real quick, about how I have two names for John. I sometimes call him John, and I sometimes call him Johnny Pawnee. We know that it's still talking about John. Just like when we say the word subordinate clause, we're also talking about a dependent clause. Then we went further and we said subordinate clause cannot, the subordinate clause, let me get to where I am, cannot stand alone, and it also does not express a complete thought. So with our subordinate clause, which I drew a submarine on the board, we said this cannot stand alone. If you were to take it out and put it on the ground, it would fall over. So it cannot stand alone. It also is dependent upon oxygen from the air. So hopefully that's kind of making some memory tricks to help them remember that a subordinate clause, also known as a dependent clause, does not, we shook our hands, does not express a complete thought and cannot stand alone. So we really just chanted that a couple times. Then we used our sparkle wand and we went around and each child said a word till we got to the end. And then when you finish the sentence, you go sparkle and that kid is out. So they're really starting to like that. And it's a lot of fun. So then we went to John 1:6. Cui nomen erat Johannes. Cui nomen erat Johannes, which means whose name was John. We chanted it. I don't remember the motions for whose name was John. I think we still do this for John. John Han. I don't know. You guys will have to remind me. I'll try to look it up. We didn't have big group, as you know, so we did not have Miss Megan teach that to us. Okay, what does the theory of evolution rely on? The theory of evolution relies on the belief that life began as a chance combination of non-living things, and we used silly voices for this. So it's always fun. Annie brought up volcano. She loved that. We were also a cat, so that was fun. We did it in a mice voice, a mouse's voice, mouse. And we were whales and I don't know, something else. I don't remember. So anyway, they had fun. Robots. Owen wanted to be a robot. So we did that. Then we went to our composer, who this week is Debussy, who is French. We listened to his song, which is La Mer, which means the ocean. And if you listen to it on YouTube, you can find it pretty easily. And it really does sound like the ocean, like the waves. So hopefully if you didn't have a chance to get to listen to it, you can again this week. I always think it's fun to hear when kids start to recognize pieces of different things. So sometimes I'll just turn on different songs that they've heard before, and they'll be like, hey, is that a CC song? Did we hear that then? So anyway, just another way to kind of go, oh yeah, remember that is Debussy, that's the C. We can do the same thing with, I think it's Tchaikovsky. What was his? The Rite of Spring? Is that what he does? I know he did Nutcracker. I don't remember. Oh no, Symphony No. 6 is what we did for Tchaikovsky. So anyway, and then Stravinsky, I believe, yeah, Stravinsky next week, The Rite of Spring, which is a really fun one, but we'll talk about it then. Okay, so then the next thing we did was our combination for science. Don't color on yourself. And
how do you know it?
I just knew that's what you were doing. Combination. So we had an imaginary pizza shop. In our pizza shop, we had 3 toppings, and we needed to find out how many different pizza combinations we could sell or the kids could order. So we found with 3 different pizza combinations, topping combinations, we could make 7 different pizzas. And then we went on a bit further, and we said if we had 4 pizza toppings, how many combinations could we make? Well, you could make 15 combinations. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. You could graph it out as it gets more complex, but they enjoyed using these pizzas and stickers from Oriental Trading Company. So if your child brought that home, you'll know that's what it is. And they each got to make pizzas. We did not hit on the next, you don't really need that for this, but so the next part of this science idea of pizza combinations is what is the probability that you would have a pizza with only pepperoni on it. So the first 3 toppings had 7 pizzas. So we'd say, well, if you only wanted pepperoni, then it would be a 1 in 7 chance that you would get that combination, all right? And so then we went on and said if you had the 4 toppings, then there's 15 possible combinations, but let's say you only wanted pepperoni pizza. So you still have a 1 in 15 chance to get a pepperoni pizza. So 1/15 versus when you add 4 different factors. So it's kind of an interesting conversation to take that a little bit further and say, okay, so if we had, 5 or 6, how many possible combinations could there be? So anyway, that's what it is. Combinations and probability that you would get that particular combination out of the total. And that's what we did for review. We played bingo, which they loved. And if your child brought home an eraser, that is because we reached another 50 maps as a class. And it was a combination of last week and this week. So if you're like, wow, that seems like a lot. Combined, they've hit another 50 maps as a class. And if they won in bingo, they got an eraser. So everyone should have gone home with 2 because I ended up just giving everybody an eraser. All right, so that's what we did this week. If you guys have any questions, concerns, anything you want to see me do different or spend more time on, let me know. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.